Alafia, greetings, and I am live. How's everyone doing this evening? You've got your Omi Inca 7 coming from Omi's production studio. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a late night evening, and I've been on the other system trying to get in to put up my other show, but I just decided just to come on to YouTube. So, we're going to be talking about the missing link. And this section is going to be on the fountain of youth. And we need to talk about that from time to time because aging is a $1 billion business. The products that are being used now in the aging industry are working so well that you would think that the fountain of youth has come back. Now, I want to talk about something called telomeres. And basically, we are giving telomeres and we try to lengthen our telomeres to prevent cancer cells like an antitoxin. I'm going to be talking to you about some of the products that I take and that I've been taking. I started out trying to fight and prevent aging when I was 50 years old. And during that particular time, I wasn't aging very rapidly. Most people didn't believe that I was 50. And I just stopped telling people my age because it was really causing a problem because some people would say 50. So now I just kind of stopped telling my age. And I have known that from looking at my sister, who's going to be 86 years old, and my uncle, who was 102 when he passed, and one was 100. So I've pretty much all my life looked at my diet and said that we must heal ourselves through our diet. And I persist in saying that even when I go to the doctor, and the doctor may say, well, we can use some pharmaceutical medicine here. As you know, I talked about the diabetics who were giving medicine that they could have been treated with their diet. And I was one of those candidates who opt to treat any possible predisposition for diabetes with diet. And I was very fortunate to do that. And my doctor was coaching me along to do that. And at the time, there were a number of different alternative products on the market that actually addressed the diabetic predisposition to help the person get the glucose that they needed in order not to have to take any type of pharmaceutical medicine from over the counter. So I've never had to be medicated with anything other than one other medicine, and that medicine was taken as needed. Sometimes when people see TID, and I believe in making my food my medicine and my alternative vitamins. I am truly a stickler about vitamins. And I did want to say something for the record. Those of you who might be on Medicare and Medicaid and have Humana has a fantastic over-the-counter budget that they give you to purchase your vitamins over the counter through their catalog, of course. You just can't go to any CVS or any drugstore like Walgreens and start ordering your vitamins. You have to order through Humana, and it's a Humana Plus over-the-counter budget that they give you, and everyone gets a different budget. And some of you might not even know it, but they even have pre-prepared food for people who are, I think they're actually free. There's no cost for them, and they are pre-prepared frozen foods, which I don't like microwave oven foods. I tried them. The food is very good, but the container is what I have opposition to. So I prefer to have my food cooked on the oven or in the oven and on top of the stove and not microwaves. And a lot of times people just microwave everything and they kill off the food. They zap the food. So I just wanted to throw that plugger in there with Humana Plus, and they're over-the-counter nutritional vitamins. I'm going to show you those so you'll be able to see that they're legitimate vitamins. And you have to know what you're doing when you're ordering the vitamins. They don't give you any instruction. It is clearly up to you what you decide to order. So, and you need your vitamin B, where they actually, you don't want to just take B6 without the vitamin B. But I'll go over that with you in a second. But right now, I have a product that I really want to share with you. As you've seen in the advertisement, it was MSM, okay? And that is methylene, methylsulfophonics methionine. Methysulfophonics methionine, MSM. And this is the hard rhino brand. Approximately 125 grams, net weight 14.40 ounces. This will last you about a month and a half if you're only taking one scoopful. Okay, however, when you first start, you start gradually with anything. There's a little scooper. Now look how small that scooper is. It's very small. So I usually I started using the small scooper because I wasn't sure. The taste is sort of tingy because you cannot take it. I don't suggest you take it straight by itself. I suggest you take it with some vitamin C. And I take mine with 5,000 MC megahertz of ascorbic acid is what it's called. And this vitamin C sort of cuts the MSM so that it is digestible in the system. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't begin to tell you that 1/3 of our body requires MSM. And that means that the antitoxins in our body fight off free radicals. And if you don't know what free radicals are, there's substances in the atmosphere, like our microwave oven, things in the atmosphere that get into our system and make it toxic. Okay? Our liver is the biggest organ in our bodies. Our liver, say that with me, the liver. And it becomes, I guess what I want to say is that the liver has to be detoxified. Sometimes you can go on these airways and you see a cleansing of the lymphatic system, a cleansing of the kidneys, a cleansing of the liver. Well, you always want to pay attention to the liver. Whenever you start feeling depressed or sad, think about the liver, because the liver can become backed up. It is the largest filtering system in your body. And when that liver is impacted, it can produce inflammation and swelling. When you see a person is very bloated and blowed up, their liver needs to be addressed. The cleansing of that liver, detoxifying it. Now, this product is a mineral sulfur. Say sulfur. Now, when I was a young girl, we used to have sulfur cleansing. We used to go to the pharmacist and get a sulfur. Some people are allergic to sulfur. There's certain classes of people that are allergic to sulfur, but now they've actually processed it so that you have the organic sulfur, and that organic sulfur is the old original one that they first start using. This concept of using sulfur to cleanse is not a new one, but because we are so compacted, where we're having problems with our arteries being clogged, we're having problems with our veins collapsing, this product will renew cells. It will actually renew the cells. It will help those cells that are strong to become strengthened. And it actually, as those old cells die off, it renews the cells. Now, I want to say to a lot of people that this product can be used for a lot of preventative maintenance. But number one, it is used for the skin to renew the skin. If you have a wound or a cut, you can make up a paste and put it in a lotion and put it on that particular wound, and it will begin to grow skin back. That is how powerful it is for the skin. And then and the ligaments in the eye, strengthening your skin, your nails, your hair. So a lot of women use it as a beauty product to strengthen their hair. If their hair is shedding, if it's splitting, and you can tell that most of the sulfur is in your nails. When I first started using it, my nails were growing like crazy. And this is not why I took it. I took it to strengthen my organs, such as my kidneys and my liver. Now, it will take the swelling off your stomach. It will take the excess fat off your stomach. So I began to lose weight and I didn't understand why, because I wasn't dieting, but it takes off inflammation. If you have stiffness in your legs, it begins to cleanse out the arteries so you're not so stiff and arthritis begins to set in. This MSG is a miracle worker. I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, it is the missing link to our fountain of youth. And I want to say for the record, don't forget about vitamin C here. It was used on a ship to prevent, on a ship with a group of men who were not getting sunlight and who were developing scurvy. That means it's the tearing of the skin, eruption of the skin. The vitamin C and the ascorbic acid actually knits that skin back together. That's why the two of these are, if you're not taking vitamin C, you definitely want to take some lemon juice and put in with your MSM. Now, I have found that people who position diabetes or who have diabetic ordinarily, they have a weakness of the eyes. The eyes are under attack. And a lot of people go blind and their doctors have to prescribe drops for their eyes to put, they go in for a test to see if there's pressure on the eyes. And if there is, the doctor then begins to try to alleviate that pressure so that the person can take the drops in their eyes to prevent from going blind. And if you catch it in time, sometimes you can prevent that problem of blindness. But if you don't catch it in time, then those eyes will have too much pressure and they will eventually go blind. I know this because there's several people in my family who've actually gone blind. Okay. Now, let me also say that there is something called a tallneck. The tallneck is in our body and it has to be lengthened. But from time to time, it becomes shortened. But as we take MSM, it helps to lengthen our tallneck, giving us better ability to have slower aging. And with that, it also prevents free radicals so that cancer cells don't rapidly grow in our body. Where we are finding people having problems because they're eating products that have a lot of free radicals, your junk foods, your fast food, and those free radicals are overtaking the cell, and the cell is rapidly producing. So when you're taking something like MSM into the body, I wish that the methanol sulfophonic methionine, when you're taking this product, it actually slows, it lengthens that tallneck so that you have cells that are replenishing themselves. Now, for you drinkers out there who are drinking, one thing that has been discovered with this MSM, I can't confirm it yet because I'm not a drinker, but what was confirmed was that upon taking the MSM and the mixture of vitamin C before one goes out to drink or consume alcohol, it stops the buzz altogether and it rejects this alcohol getting into the bloodstream and you immediately become sober. Now, I don't know how many teaspoons it takes, but for those of you who are trying to get off of alcohol, this might be a product that you might want to take because it slows down the process of you getting high from the alcohol. And A lot of people are finding this out, and they're taking this prior to drinking or upon stop when they stop drinking. And if they want to come off alcohol altogether, I know that if you're taking this twice a day, morning and night, you will see a difference because it works on preventing the alcohol from advancing itself in your system. It slows it down. It stops that rapidness of intoxication. Now, I want to also say that you must understand that we have organs, and our organs have to be strengthened. This product strengthens the organs and it detoxifies not only just your liver, but your kidney and your lymphatic system so that you're constantly cleaning and detoxifying. That's a good thing because when the body is clean, it can build brand new cells. As those cells die off and fall off, you know, when you go and get radiation treatment and chemo gives you a burst of fire to burn everything up. And it's trying to eradicate any cell that is rapidly growing or that's dead. So sometimes it hits some of the good cells. But when you're taking the MSM with this, it is protecting those good cells so they can elongate with the tarmac developing in the system, causing the cells to be strengthened and protecting the cell. We must understand that our cells renew themselves, but if we take in substance and food that brings in free radicals, such as if we are taking in a lot of starches, then we develop of yeast in our growing in our stomach area, and that yeast begins to feed off of our bodies. And we need to understand that we cannot consume sugars and carbohydrates that are going to sit there in our bellies and turn fermented. And now you have a yeast growing in your body. And the first thing that happens with diabetes, when the sugar level goes up, you have a lot of carbohydrates that are not being digested and sugar, and it causes the blood sugar to go up. And that's how one gets diabetes. It's not just carbohydrates, but it's the sugars that are being made in the body. Do you know that people that don't even drink, if they consume enough carbohydrates that turn into sugar, it's almost as if they become drunk because these carbohydrates and sugars rises in the stomach from fungus and from also from the yeast, and it will also make a person appear to be intoxicated. So it's very vital that we understand that this product also helps the women that are going through menopause. It prevents you from having the cramping and the headaches. I don't know if any of you, when you were younger, whenever your menstrual was coming on, you suddenly had this terrible migraine headache that you couldn't get rid of. And I heard a lot of women talk about they couldn't even get out of bed because the migraine headache was so bad when the menstrual period was coming on because of the hormones. Well, this product actually helps a lot of women who couldn't get any help from any doctor with their headaches. It assists them. I didn't say cure now. I am not a doctor. I cannot offer you any suggestions or say that anything cures any product. I want to offer a disclaimer and tell you this is what I've been taking. And I know that it works with the woman in her hormones and balancing the hormones and lubricating her and her vagina area, making her feel lubricated and moist. As you know, when you become at the menopause age, you become very dry and and it cracks, and you have the problem with having to lubricate that area because any type of intercourse is painful. So this particular product helps to lubricate that area of the vagina and give the moisture to the woman that she needs. So you find that it might serve many purposes. It is also a cosmetic where it could be added to any lotions and mixed in there and put on any kind of cut or scrape or even on your face, and it tightens the face and firms it up. So when people ask me, what are you taking for your face? I don't use a lot of aesthetics on the outside other than a little lotion, water and lotion, but I take internal things that will help strengthen and give me elasticity in my skin. So my skin doesn't sag very easily, even though I, use just an atopic lotion, but it's what I put inside my body internally. And I do believe this MSM has caused my skin to firm up a bit and to perk up a little bit, because I did see some signs of aging. But it wasn't until I started using the MSM that the signs of aging started to slow down. They weren't growing as rapidly with the crevices and the wrinkles. So for a 65-year-old woman, I would say that my skin is not so bad, I think. I think that if I begin to start to put some things on aesthetically, I can preserve my skin for a long time. Now, I want to also share with you some of the vitamins that I take, and I am not suggesting any of you take these. I'm just showing you what I take and what has been very successful for me. And these are over-the-counter vitamins. I don't take drugs, and I know that pharmaceutical drugs can cause side effects. So I prefer to take herbs and tinctures, essential oils, as well as vitamins. And I am a stickler about vitamins. Now, before I got into the MSM loose powder, I was taking the MSM tablet form. Now, I was told that the tablet form is not as effective as the powder. Now, I'm going to show you it too, along with the other regimen that I take, because I'm trying to stay healthy and I need my energy. And the vitamins I take give me energy. I am very prone, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. I am very prone to stick with the vitamin B complex and the subliminal uh, uh, vitamin B6, which is a little chewable tablet that has a little sweetness to it, a little flavor. But the vitamin B12 is also a good regimen to take that I take. And right now, I just have the B complex, and I think I might have the B6. But sometimes you must understand that all these vitamins are not taken um, at the same time. And some of them I take at AM and some I take at PM. I don't take them all at the same time. Now let me show you the regimen that I do for AM. Because I need to have my energy, this is my prima facie, my B complex that I take. And this is by a product that I like this is over the counter with Humana. The Century 21 is there and they use. Okay, now I was taking a B6, but I don't think I have any more of the B6 because I take quite a bit of that. Now, this is my AM, and then I also take CoQ10. And this is a good heart regulator. It helps the heart in case you have heart murmurs, you're feeling racing, and your heart is beating fast. This is a good heart regulator. I also take the vitamin E because I know vitamin E is good for preventing those free radicals in your body. And I take a large dose of vitamin E. This is just 180 milligrams, but sometimes I take a massive dose of maybe more, 3 of those, because I need the vitamin E for any repairs that might be going on in my throat, that may be needing to be healed, or my body in general that might need healing, because vitamin E is an all-time preventative product. Now here's folic acid. Now for me, I like folic acid because it gives me that tingling sensation for circulation. And when you get older, you start having a circulation problem. And that's one of the things that I need, is to have my extremities with the blood vessels open so they can have the blood to flow in there. Otherwise, I will find myself with cold hands and cold feet. I also take melanin. Now, isn't it strange that a black woman like me would be taking melanin? Melanin is not just good for the tone of the color and shade of the skin. It is good for all the organs, and you'll find melanin in the African American person in all of the organs. And this melatonin is also good for sleep. If I feel that, I take this at PM, I don't take this in the morning. This is taken at night before I go to bed, and it helps me to go into dream mode and relax and go to sleep. Now, here is the calcium citrate, and it is also a maximum plus vitamin D3. I don't know if you notice it or not, but doctors are recommending that African Americans take vitamin D, and vitamin D3 is one of the favorites. Sometimes when you go in, my doctor prescribed vitamin D3. I was getting that as a pharmaceutical product initially, but I was told with the calcium citrate, the vitamin D can be absorbed with the calcium. You have to remember that some of these minerals, they have complementaries that need to be, like when you're taking certain minerals, like for example, your magnesium needs to be with your potassium. And a lot of people who are on high blood pressure medicine, they are on the actual diuretic, and they have to take potassium in order to balance that diuretic so that they don't become depleted of potassium. But calcium is very good, and most women I know that take calcium, it helps them with their menopause, it helps them with their bones, because we have problems with fragile bones as we get older. Now, antitoxin. Now here's a favorite daytime product that I take, because I'm eating foods that are fast foods, because I have a lot of garbage and empty calories going in my body. This helps build up those free radicals that are trying to get into my body. These antitoxics fight them off. They're my little soldiers. They fight for me to prevent me from getting bogged down with a lot of free radicals in my body. And anyone that is getting up, going out into the elements, need to understand you need your antitoxins to help fight for you. Okay? Now, here's the vitamin D that I was telling you about. I take a separate vitamin D because if I don't get enough sunlight, being an African American, we need to stay out in the sun no matter how black we get. And my doctor has even told me that they've been prescribing for African Americans to take their vitamin D because of the sunlight that we need for our bodies. And because we do burn from the sun, but we need that sun because we're sun people and our bodies are made up of vitamin D. And it used to be a time when they said, oh, don't take vitamin D, it will accumulate in the liver and it cause you to be toxic. You don't want to take a whole lot of it. Anything can be toxic if you take too much. And any product that you take too much of can be toxic. Now, here's my magnesium oxide, and that's 400 micrograms that I take, or 400 milligrams that I take. This is very good for anyone that is a predisposition diabetic, who is going through the changes of blood sugar, being resistant, where sugars, where the insulin can't get into the blood vessels, or you secreting too much going on the outside. It helps to normalize that blood sugar so that you have a regulated lower blood sugar and it's not accelerated. And I take this so that I don't have to go into a diabetic coma or go into a level where my sugar is so high that it causes me to have a stroke or something. And see, a lot of people don't know this, so they don't know how to treat themselves when they say that they're predisposition diabetic. Now, here's that MSM that I was telling you about in the capsule form. Now, this strength here, it says joint function support, methylene sulfatone methine, 1,000 milligrams. Now, that is quite a lot, but it might look like a lot, but it does not equate to your powder, because it's going to sit in your system and take a while to dissolve. So assimilation is might be the problem with taking the tablet, and you might want to take the loose powder, because the loose powder is going to absorb into your system much faster, and you'll get the necessary reaction you need. Now, this I was told, does not have any side effect, and it does not cause you to have any extra tingling sensation. But you want to be very, very careful with folic acid. For people that have never taken folic acid before, your skin starts to tingle, and your neck, the hair on your neck starts to stand up, because it's flushing the blood into your system. For those people who have poor circulation, it does wonders for me, because I'm like a dead person with cold hands and cold feet, and I need to put something in my blood vessels to start the blood to flowing and to moving. So I need that, because circulation problem is one of the things that I have a problem with, and this solves that for me. Now, I think I've showed you just about everything here. There's one other product that I wanted to show you, that when I first found out I was predisposition diabetic, I went into the drugstore and I found this. Lo and behold, a diabetic multivitamins and minerals. Now, this has things that will help maintain the healthy blood sugar level, help support the normal vision and the macular health. So your vision is something you have to take care of too when you are predisposition diabetic, or when you are a diabetic. Help promotes nervous health and function. Now, as I told you, that the predisposition diabetic or diabetes is a carbohydrate deficiency. It's not a disease. It is a deficiency where one cannot consume carbohydrates and can't break them down. So once you know how to get the body to consume alternatives to the carbohydrates, and consume your grains, your nuts, and your berries and fruits, then you can get all your nourishment from that. And you don't need to have a large sum of carbohydrates. We consume a lot of rice, a lot of macaronis and starches, and those are the things that bring on the diabetic disposition. And it can bring on a diabetic coma. You can go into a diabetic coma. And your blood sugar is taken in the morning. It is taken several times a day. Now, once you get that blood sugar normal, you know when you lose weight, all of a sudden your blood sugar level will go down, way down to normal, because your weight tends to create the problem. Because what happens is you have insulin resistance, where your body will not accept insulin, and then you have another option where your body is throwing off insulin, and every time you go to the bathroom frequently, you're throwing off this insulin, and it takes its toll on the kidneys. It weakens the kidneys, and if you don't watch it, you can overconsume the kidneys, and the kidneys can go into a diabetic coma, and the kidneys can cause you to have the pancreas misfunctioning, and then the kidneys will shut down. Then you'll need renal dialysis. That's why it's very careful for you to, soon as someone like a doctor that tells you that there's something going on with your pancreas, or you're not secreting enough insulin, you immediately want to make sure you work on those organs, because those organs will begin to have atrophy. That means they begin to start to deteriorate. And when the kidneys start to deteriorate, then if you cannot use those kidneys for filtering, then they become atrophy and they don't work. It's like a muscle that won't work. And then literally you then will get prescribed to go to renal dialysis to get your kidneys, get the blood filtered out, so those kidneys can get some help, because the kidneys must be able to do the job of filtering just like your liver. But your liver is the biggest organ, and I don't see too many people that have a liver transplant. I know they say that you can live with part of a liver, and the liver can kind of replace itself, and and you can't live without a liver, but you can live with a partial liver. So I don't know how that's possible, but the liver is an organ you don't want to ignore. You want to keep it cleansed, because once it's cleansed, it filters out anything that can cause you to be obese. A lot of people think they're fat, but that's inflammation in their stomach, in their gut, that won't flow out. It's trapped and it's got to get out of there. I know, because I had some parts of me that was just bloated and the other part of me was thin. I said, well, what is this? And it's inflammation. And inflammation comes when you've had an infection and that inflammation builds up. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard about MRSA, but it is a really low down dog, because MRSA is something that will prevent a wound from not healing. And it's a staph infection that can be passed on from one nurse to the next to the patient. And the patient can inherit this staph infection without knowing it. And sometimes it can go to the bone if it's not treated early enough. Now, it's very vital that we should understand that we must make our vitamins our medicine, and we must make our food our medicine. A lot of times people are so weak and worn out, and all it takes is a mineral to balance off that deficiency. Some people are deficient in simple things like vitamin C. You can replace that vitamin C through your orange juice, making sure you have plenty of orange juice. Instead of buying pop, replace it with orange juice or cranberry juice. You got to preserve these organs, ladies and gentlemen, because your organs, however they're wearing and tearing, it will reflect on your aesthetics. If you want beautiful skin, you got to make sure that stomach is not ulcerated with ulcers on it, because it'll reflect as craters on your skin. When you see a person with clear skin, you know that good things are going on in their intestine, because your intestine reflects what your aesthetic skin is going to look like. Now, the skin is a large organ too, so we have to make sure that we pay attention to our gut and our bowel movements, that we are having a bowel movement frequently, and that we're not constipated and having to take laxatives, because you don't want the body to do something unnatural. You want it to do its own thing in cleansing itself. But you can help that liver along through giving it products like MSM to cleanse it. If you don't do anything else, you can learn about MSM cleansing the body and detoxifying the liver. And you will see clear skin. You'll begin to see the tightness of your skin tightening up. Now, I haven't taken mine in a while, but I noticed that when I take it, my skin does tighten up, and I can feel the difference in my nails and how strong and hard they are. But a lot of people started taking MSM for the fountain of youth that it gave the women, and not knowing that it actually does a job on the organs. And that's where we first start our cleansing and our correction. It's within inside, internal. And for those of you who might have a Medicare plan or who might have a Humana plan, check with them and ask them about your Humana Plus. If you go after the Humana Plus, there's a number of things that come with that over-the-counter budget that you're given to make your purchases of vitamins just like this, and it comes with your Medicaid plan. And you can also inquire about the meals that they have if you don't have time to cook, and these meals you need to have them, ready for someone. Then you you definitely want to make sure that you ask them about these things, because we're paying quite a bit for our premium. And in our premium, sometimes we go to the doctor for our physical major exam. And then if we don't have any specific problems, then we go for our preventative maintenance. And sometimes they want you in and out for all these different things, and a flu shot. I am not big on the flu shot, no. I believe the body can heal itself. And you don't want to give the body flu. And that's exactly what you're doing when you get an injection of the flu shot. You are getting an injection of the virus. And if your body's not strong enough to handle it and can't throw it off, it will contract uh, this virus. And I know this for a fact because I remember getting a time test, and for some reason, I had been working in respiratory therapy, and when I had this particular time test done, I had a little rash that came up on my arm and my face. And it was because I had worked in respiratory so long, my body had built up immunity and it was resistant to it. So I had to have the chest x-ray instead. For those of you who work in the medical field, you know what I'm talking about. I had worked in the medical field in the emergency room and geriatrics and pediatric for about 4 years. A lot of us who worked in the hospital, we knew that some of these people were suffering from side effect from drug overdose and from contraindication. Every drug has a contraindication. These are not drugs. These are actual preventative maintenance, your minerals, your vitamins, and some of these, like your multivitamin, have herbs in there as well. So these don't cause a side effect, but you can take anything you can take too much of. You want to take the prescribed dose of any vitamin that you're taking, and don't go in and overdose yourself. Because like I indicated, these are supposed to be meant to be foods. You want to take them as prescribed. Some of them will say take on an empty stomach. Some of them will say take with food. Take that particular vitamin the way it's prescribed. Now, don't go adding double extra scoops of this when it tells you maybe 2 scoops to start. You don't want your hair to start falling out. You don't want your face to start tingling. You want to make sure that these particular preventative maintenance make you feel healthy, make you feel strong. See, a lot of us become very stressful. And another thing that you want to remember, not only just taking vitamins, but you want to take time out spiritually to have a spiritual setting in meditation, to get your mind together and prevent you from being short-tempered, going off on people, and feeling anxious and having anxiety. Now, I talked to you once before about anxiety, something that we're forgetting that our African American communities are suffering from a lot. We see them run into the hospital under the auspices that they're having a heart attack when it's anxiety. We are stressed out these days. And vitamin B is our ticket. It is for me. And I make sure that I take my B complex to calm my nerves, to make me feel settled. And I make sure I take the complete complex. And if I want to take B12 to help with enriching my iron, and some people take B12 shots. I won't take those. I don't want to take any shots because you don't know what's on the end of that needle. And I don't recommend anyone taking any kind of shots with the needle. And some people have taken those B12 shots. I take the sublingual tablet, which you can chew, and the B12. And it really helps me, gives me my energy. There's B12 and B6. B6 removes the water. B12 gives you the energy. You have to know what every one of these vitamins does. Like I told you, melanin gives me sweet rest at night and helps me relax and get to sleep. And it helps my body organs. Melanin works on all the organs in your body. Now, remember, if you're not getting enough sun and you're living in an apartment that don't have windows, you definitely need vitamin D3 to help strengthen your body and make you the sunlight. Remember, we're like the sun. We have to have that sun in our body. And it's very vital that you should understand that if you're going to get the MSM, this MSM is not as potent as the powder form. So remember, you're going to see slower progress with this, even though it is 1,000 milligrams. But it's somewhere to start until you can get your order together for Amazon. That's where I bought this one from, and they have plenty of different products. There's The next one I'm going to try is the organic MSM. I'm going to see how that works for me because I know that people were commenting on my skin and saying that your skin is looking better and you tend to be getting, more youth. And I want those compliments and I want to look more youthful because I feel youthful. When you start feeling down and you think aging makes you feel, oh no, I think we can still have the same vibrant ability and attitude that we did when we were young. Now, I want to say, for the benefit of you guys who might not understand, that scurvy saved a lot of men's lives on the ship who had developed scurvy from not having enough vitamin C. This is what saved their life, stopped their skin from cracking, their lips, and all of the cuts on their body. It saved their life. So vitamin C is a must take on a daily basis to help build up your immunity and strengthen your immune system. And the antitoxin also helps to strengthen your immune system as well. And I make sure I get plenty of this in me during cold and flu season. I never get colds. And one time I was getting pneumonia, walking pneumonia, and then when I started taking my regimen of vitamins, all of a sudden my body got so resilient that it was fighting off the colds. And if I did get a cold, I would take the zinc tablets, and I don't have any of those now, but I would immediately take my zinc if my nose was running and I was sniffling, then it would break off the cold and prevent the cold. A lot of people take the airborne products when they're flying because when they come down out of the plane, their head is stopped up, they have a lot of condensation that's dripping, postnasal drip, and those kind of things. Now, what I did want to tell you, I talked about Ptolemaic. And I told you Ptolemaic, I just found out about Ptolemaic that the astragalus root actually helps to build the Ptolemaic in your body. And the Ptolemaic is what prevents you from, the telomere is what prevents you from aging. And it shortens usually in our lifespan, but through taking vitamins and MSM, it helps it to elongate and to grow. And when it's growing and it's in our body, it prevents free radicals from turning into cancer. And it renews those cells and strengthens those cells. So your cells, after 7 days, start renewing themselves and become plentiful. And now you got live living cells instead of dead cells that are sloughing off. Your cells are very important. You got to pay attention to your cells and realize it's your cells that you are made of. And we are combustible and we are like atoms and we are made mechanically. That's why you need all these things to give you energy. And if all these things could give you energy, you wouldn't really need food because uh, the ultimate goal is to get energy sparks from your food. That's why you want to eat live foods, and those live foods spark in the body and have the neurosynapse carry the message over to the brain. And that's another thing. Speaking of the brain, this is a brain food beyond brain food. It has been tested under Alzheimer's condition. And those people who are suffering from Alzheimer's condition were found that when they took MSN, their brains were strengthened and their memory was strengthened. So it is a preventative for brain die out so that your neurosynapse can stay strong and those fiery darts can fire up in your brain because you need a lot of fat in the brain so that the brain can stay lubricated and can stay functional. And we want to make sure that our